Gareth Taylor is the new Liverpool manager. Last season was disappointing for Taylor as he was sacked by Man City following poor performances. And now he has a point to prove. And he has to do it with the Liverpool side who've lost their best player from last season and have had no major investment yet to replace her. So how will they line up, and is Taylor the right man for the job? Let's dive into it. So who is Gareth Taylor? Well, Taylor is a 52-year-old English coach who's only had one senior management role before this when he was manager of Man City Women. He was also an excellent striker in his day, playing in the men's top flight. And I feel there's been a bit of revisionism around Gareth Taylor because people are writing him off based off last season and forgetting what an excellent job he did in the seasons before that. He took a Man City side to win the FA Cup. He had a Man City side competing for the WSL and they very much should have won it in the 23-24 season. And I think people forget that because of how disastrous last season was for Taylor at City. And his style of play is very much suited to what Liverpool want from a manager. We saw at the end of last season, when Amber Whiteley was in as an interim manager, they play a much more aggressive, much more attacking style of football. And that suits exactly what Gareth Taylor is going to ask of this Liverpool side. He likes to play attacking, possession-based football, as we saw him use at Man City. And Liverpool now know how to play that system. So let's take a look at Gareth Taylor's play style. So he likes to line up in a 4-3-3, and in a moment we're going to bring some of the Liverpool players in and look at how they may fit in the system. But first, the tactical setup of this side. So in attacking areas, what they like to do is have the one central striker pushing into the penalty area and creating opportunities by making these runs into the box and being a presence in the penalty area. Then with the wingers, what he likes to do is have players who can go both outside and inside. So they're capable of hugging the touchline like this, but also coming inside and allowing the fullback to overlap. Now, this is going to be really interesting for Liverpool because actually they look quite poor out in wide areas and at fullback areas right now, given they've just lost captain Taylor Hines and they've just lost their star player Olivia Smith. So these are two really important areas that Liverpool have to get the recruitment right in this summer. And at left back, they've done that. They've got to do more of that to get it right. Then what they like to do is have midfielders who push up. So if we go from build-up phases, what they tend to do is have a single pivot player, two central midfielders, the wingers will hold the width, and they'll build up in this 4-1-5 type shape. So you have these two midfielders who come super wide to try and create options, this single pivot player, and we know he loves a Japanese technician in there, so we'll get to that in a moment as to the perfect fit for that role. And then these fullbacks hold the width. So they build up in this sort of shape. Then when they progress the ball forwards, we'll see these wingers get forward, and we'll oftentimes see them move into more of a back three type shape. So if the ball's on the left-hand side, for example, we'll see the left back overlap into this sort of space, and then we'll see them move round like so, as obviously they progress up to the halfway line, everyone moves forward, and then we'll see them in this sort of shape, where we saw a little bit at times Man City get opened up, because as you can see from this shape, there is a lot of space in this midfield. If they get past this midfield block of three, then teams can transition very effectively against Man City. So that's something that we may see him revise, especially with the options that Liverpool have available. But they tend to put up in this sort of shape, have this as a fullback right now, just overlapping, have the winger working together. If the ball's on the other side, then vice versa. This is the fullback and this is the winger. But what we'll see is them have both of their fullbacks need to be capable of dropping off and playing in a back three when they're playing an aggressive system. And then the other fullback has to be able to push up, and then that vice versa when the ball's on the other side. So if we move them back into their 4-3-3 shape, we can start to bring players into this system. Now, goalkeeper is fairly obvious for now. We expect it to be Rachel Laws, so they have just signed Rafaela Borgraf, who I think will be pushing towards a first-team opportunity, but realistically, I don't see her usurping Laws just yet. I think that Taylor will want to play a goalkeeper who has been there for a while and knows the club, and then maybe look to bring in someone else later down the line. Then if we look at this defence, it's going to be really interesting to see what Liverpool do this season, because we didn't actually see them have a fit defence for many games last season. There was a lot of injuries in there. We saw Parry out for a suspended period. Their centre-backs seem to change every week. There are a lot of problems with injuries last season. And actually, one of their biggest issues this season is they've still got an incredibly small squad. So that's something that Taylor and the director of football has to address. They've got to look at more transfers if the budget is available. But looking at this back line, the big question at right back is going to be, are we going to see Parry, or are they going to look to bring someone into that position? So Parry played as a right wing back under Matt Beard. We didn't see her too much under Amber Whiteley. She had a knock for a while and then wasn't really preferred over Bernabei and Hines. So we didn't really see her play at fullback, but she could definitely do this right back role. The question would be whether she can do that more defensive role. So if we picture them in that back three, is she going to be able to do that role? I think she'd be adequate. The other option is that they put someone like Grace Fisk in here, who we saw play a similar role at times last season for Liverpool, especially under Amber Whiteley. So I wouldn't be surprised if that is something they look to do this season, put Fisk there and then tend to build up on the left-hand side and have the left back overlapping rather than the right back. That may be something they look to do. Now, as we look at centre-backs, if Fisk is playing there, it's going to leave them a little bit light. If we just bring up their options, they've got Gemma Evans who can play there, they've got Bonner, they've got Clark as well, but I think that their options are looking light. Obviously, Hannah Silcock has just signed a new contract, so they've got options in there. Is it enough centre-back options? Possibly. I think they'd like one more really top quality player, because you've got Gemma Bonner, who's 34 already. You've got Clark, who I believe is 33. So they are starting to push towards the end of their career. I think they'll be looking whether they can bring in a slightly younger centre-half, probably not as young as Silcock though, but someone who can be at the back line. But if we just put in Bonner and Evans for now, I expect that to be the most likely centre-back partnership. Moving into left-back, I think there's a really nice fit here, and that's Lily Woodham. I've seen people not be too excited about the signing of Lily Woodham. She was at Seattle Reign. Last season she was on loan at Crystal Palace, and that Palace side were a really poor defence. So I can understand some reservations, but overall, I think this is a really good addition. I think that she's a player who, if we imagine her overlapping, she's very good at attacking. I think, depending on who plays on that left wing, I think they could form a really nice connection together. So overall, I think it's a signing that Liverpool fans should be very excited about. I think she's a really nice fit for that left-back position. Now, probably the best fit that Liverpool have to a Gareth Taylor system, and that is in defensive midfield. Fuka Nagano is the absolute perfect role. She is so good at receiving the ball. She's so good at controlling the tempo. She is exactly what Gareth Taylor wants from a defensive midfielder. Someone who can pick out a pass, someone who's got enough of an engine to be able to carry that ball forward, someone who's comfortable dropping in between the centre-backs or dropping wide next to centre-backs to receive the ball. She's absolutely perfect for what Taylor wants from a midfielder, and we saw that Hasegawa was absolutely pivotal to everything they looked to do at Man City, and I think Nagano will be just as crucial. The fact that Liverpool managed to convince Nagano to stay while there was interest from Manchester United shows the project that Liverpool are looking to build. So then looking at the other two midfield positions, they've got some nice options in midfield now in the form of the returning Sam Kerr. They had her on loan last season and she was excellent on loan from Bayern Munich. They have now got her on a permanent. They've got obviously Mary-Therese Höbinger, who has been fantastic for Liverpool for a few years now. They've got Kerry Holland, though I think we could see her used in a wider position to start the season with their lack of wingers, so we'll look at that in a moment. They've got Lundgaard, who's just coming back from injury. I think we'll see more of her a little bit deeper in this side because they don't really have anyone else who is very comfortable playing that deepest role, so I think we'll see her as more of a backup to Nagano, but we'll have to see what they look to do there. And then they've got McLean, who they've just brought in from Rangers, a young attacking midfielder. I think this is a really nice addition. I think overall to start the season, we'll see them play Höbinger and Kerr, and I think this suits exactly what Taylor wants from a midfield. So if you look back to the season where they almost won the title, their midfield three was built up of Hasegawa, the deeper lying midfielder, and then two midfielders who were very good at going forwards but also coming backwards. And so what they had were two players that could do both roles in the form of Angeldal and Roord. At times they played someone like Jess Park, and I think that would be similar to me playing someone like Holland, where you get a lot more attacking output, but perhaps the defensive efforts struggle a little bit more. But I think with this midfield, what you'll end up with is someone that can go forward, someone that can go back. Höbinger is a fantastic creator. Sam Kerr's a great ball carrier, a really nice progressive passer as well. So this is a really complementary midfield three, and I think that Taylor will be really pleased with what he's already got at his disposal. Looking at the front line then, it's not perfect, but it can definitely work for what Gareth Taylor wants to do. So on the left wing, I think we'll see them continue to start Cornelia Capox. So last season we saw Capox often on the left wing, Smith on the right wing, and that worked quite nicely. Smith was able to go out wide, Capox was able to come inside and strike it on that right foot, and I think we'll see similar from them this season. Capox looking to break into this sort of space, Lily Woodham overlapping, and then being able to combine in those sorts of areas. So I think Epox have a really breakout season. We saw her have moments of real quality for Liverpool last season, but there just wasn't really that consistency. So that'll be something that Liverpool are looking to bring into her game this year. And if they can start to get more goals from Epox, they can replace the output they've lost from Olivia Smith. Then over to the right wing, and this is the biggest problem. I just don't think they've got anyone that naturally replaces what Olivia Smith wants to do. I think on the right wing, their only options at the moment are Mia Enderby, who is very good, but I just don't think we've seen her explode yet into life for Liverpool. She'd have to really up her game, become a much more direct player, become much more confident in her own abilities. I just don't know if we're going to see that immediately for Enderby at the start of this season. The other option is Kerry Holland. So I don't know who they're going to start on the right wing. I think they have to sign someone to play right wing. They've got to go out and break the bank. They've got 1.1 million from Olivia Smith. My feeling is they're going to do that, but we've not seen Liverpool link with anyone. We've not seen them really do much in the market so far. So, yeah, I think we do need to see some action in the market and bring in a really quality right winger. If not, I think they'll start the season with Holland there. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's Enderby. I just think Holland's slightly better at holding the width. And if they are looking to have Epox cutting inside and Woodham overlapping, they're going to need someone on this touchline who can hold the width and then look to offer this wide option, because Fisk isn't really going to overlap with the same quality that you'd want a right back to do, because they're going to look to build up with more of a back three. So I think they'll start with Kerry Holland and see where they go from there. For me, though, they have to sign a right winger. That is so important for success at City this season. And then leading the line, they've got options like Leanne Kiernan, they've got Sophie Roman Haug, and I think we'll see Haug start the season through the middle. A similar-ish mould to Khadija Shaw in terms of the penalty area stuff. So she looks to get into the box, get flick-ons at headers, get shots in and around the penalty area. She's not got the same ability to run in behind like Khadija Shaw had, and that's something that they'll get perhaps from Leanne Kiernan. So I think they'll rotate between those two. And if you've got the most out of Kiernan, you've got a really good player there. The problem is we just haven't seen her blossom yet for Liverpool. Very similar to Enderby. Enderby's another one who could play through the middle. I just don't think she'll be preferred in that position. I think we'll see her more in a wide area for Liverpool this season. So my expected lineup would be to see Laws in goal, Fisk, Bonner, Evans, Woodham across the back four, a midfield three, I love this midfield three, of Höbinger, Nagano and Kerr, and then a front line of Epox, Haug and Holland. So now let's take a look at the full squad screen, identify some areas where Liverpool need improvement. So if we start by looking at the entire screen, you can see already a couple of gaps. So at left wing, the only option really is Epox. Now, Holland and Enderby could play there, and you can easily move them across and then see they've got no right wingers. And so I definitely feel a winger is important, especially if you consider that Holland could be used as a midfielder. That would suddenly leave them very light in wide areas. So a winger is of the utmost importance, and that is understandable. They've just lost a winger and they haven't resigned another one. They need to make an improvement in that area. The other big ones are centre-back should be fine because Fisk can cover there, even if she is playing right-back. Silcock can cover there. Silcock's able to play defence midfield or centre-back, so she's a really nice rotation player to have. Again, you don't want to rely too heavily on a youngster, but I think that she'll be looking to get first-team opportunities this season, and we know that Taylor likes giving young players opportunities, so I think we'll see Silcock given a chance for Liverpool in some games next season. Another one is left back, and this will be a bit more of a concern. Now, Gemma Evans can play left back, and that would be okay. If they're looking for a left back who's very attacking, though, you're not really going to get that from Gemma Evans, so that's something they're going to have to think about. But last few minutes of games, you're looking to shut it down. You put Evans out there, you take Woodham off, and you just go for the more defensive option. But if Evans is starting centre-back, that could leave them a little bit light in those areas. So, for me, the biggest areas that Liverpool need to improve are a quality right winger, and then have Enderby as an option on either side, or Holland as an option on either side, and then a real quality centre-back, and then that will allow Evans to be a rotation player for left-back and centre-back, and it will allow Fisk to be that natural starting right-back. And I think that would give them a really nice squad balance. I think midfield, they've got loads of nice options. They've brought in McLean, who can be a backup to Höbinger as the more advanced midfielder. They've got Zara Shaw, who we saw come in and play. I know she's going to be injured, I think, for the start of this season. She's had a long injury now, but I think we'll see her come in once she's fit and offer an option in midfield. So I don't think they're too light in some areas, but the problem that Liverpool have got is they've got some players covering a lot of different positions, and actually the step down in quality could be quite vast. If Höbinger was to get injured, could they really rely on McLean to come in and start for the rest of the season? I wouldn't say so. So the problem for Liverpool now is that a lot of their backup players are really young players who are untested at this level. But overall, I think the squad's quite good. What they'll be looking at doing is bringing in a quality centre-back, a quality right winger. I think they stand themselves in really good stead looking forward to next season. So what are my expectations for Liverpool this season? Well, in all honesty, I really don't know at this point. If they make the transfer they need, if they go and get a quality centre-back, they go and get a quality right winger, I think they're a side who can really start to push the envelope. They can be top half consistently. They can be pushing for the top four this season. But if they don't make those signings, I think they're going to be in a little bit of bother. I think you look at the sides that are coming through, and if you're not going forwards, you tend to be going backwards in football. So I would be concerned for Liverpool if they don't make the right signings. Olivia Smith has to be replaced by someone who can do a similar role to her. You're not going to get a player of the same calibre necessarily, but you can definitely bring in someone who does some of the things that Smith does and then rely on other players in the squad to make up the difference. So I don't think it's all doom and gloom for Liverpool. I think Gareth Taylor is a very exciting appointment. He's a manager that I consider very highly. So I think that Liverpool will be able to compete tactically. The big question now is that ambition matched in the transfer market? Are they going to go out and make good signings? Lily Woodham's a good start to the window, but for me, they still need a centre-back and they still need a right winger. To see more about those suggestions, go and check out our last video. We suggested one player for every WSL club should sign this summer. Go and check that out. That'll be on the end screen now. But that is everything from us today. Thank you guys very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.